councillors for attendance at this year March 23 and 24 meeting. It's Penguin lovely to be back in Penguin for one of our formal monthly meetings. So this is the second March in a year, but second March in a row. We've done it. We've marched for Penguin last year and we've marched back here this year. So this is our formal council meeting. It's only a fairly brief agenda today. There is the allowance for public questions, which we will talk about in due course, but it's a formal meeting with formal meeting processes. So to that point, we have a councillor apologies from Councillor Wiley and an apology from the Director of Community Growth and Development, Darryl Conley. So any questions that are directed to that department will need to be taken on notice. We have no media attendance. Everybody in the room should be advised that this council meeting is recorded. It will be live streamed and will remain to the public online. So we can notify you that it is a recorded activity here this evening. And we'll move on to the acknowledgement of country and statement of values. And I'll call on Deputy Mayor John Besford to read those for us, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of the tradition that name, Palawa Putnam people. We acknowledge the Palawa Putnam tribe of this northern country, and in doing so, we celebrate one of the oldest and continuing culture. A statement of values, guided by the diverse beliefs, experiences, and backgrounds of the people we represent. We strive to make inspired and respectful decisions today that will build a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Moving on to 1.1 is the confirmation of the minutes. And it's for the 19th of February, with Councillor Fair moving suggested resolution. Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Thank you, Councillor Layman. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion all those in favour aye. Aye. Against, the motion is carried. Item 2.1 is Mayor's communications, and usually I don't get to do anything, and today I do, so that's good. Could I invite Graham Southern to come forward, please? I'd like to make a presentation on behalf of New South Wales Health. So for those in the room, I'm pleased to announce that the appointment of Central Coast Municipal Emergency Management Coordinators has now been made final by Felix Ellis, Minister for Police, Fire and Emergency Management. Our Director of Infrastructure Services, Paul Breeden, has been reappointed as Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator for a period of 3 years, and our Public Safety Officer, Graham Songhead, has been appointed as Deputy Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator for a period of 3 years. Paul Breeden is currently on leave and not able to receive his certificate tonight, but we thank him for his continued service in his role and the significant work and responsibilities he commits to in ensuring the safety of our community in some of the most difficult times. As Council's Public Safety Officer, Graham is responsible for ensuring public safety through compliance with Council policies and procedures. He works closely with the Central Coast community regarding public safety concerns and has prior experience with emergency services, having been a New South Wales police officer for 12 years prior to commencing with Council. Graham is also appointed as Central Coast Council's representative to the Central North Fire Management Area Committee. Graham's role as deputy is a key responsibility for Central Coast and the wider region, whether he is acting in Paul's stead or is assisting in regional emergency management. I congratulate Graham on his accomplishment, and we are sure he will perform his work admirably. Well done, Council. No, thank you. Gus, it'll be great. It's a long way away though, right? You joined Council Ben, how long have you been with it?
Same day as Gary, to 110.
Oh, it's been a lucky day. A lucky day with Central Coast. We've got two good workers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are indeed fortunate to have someone with Graham's expertise with us. Not that the person in that previous role would also have expertise.
I know about that, right?
Further to Mayor's communications, I also want to take this opportunity, particularly as we are in Penguin, to provide an update on One Pine Cliff Road, which is the previous Penguin football ground. So as many of you are aware, the vast majority of the site, which is approximately 98%, has always been owned by the state government, with a title condition in place that when it was no longer used for recreational purposes, it would be returned to their ownership and control. This use ceased in 2017 because we came here to this fabulous place, and the state has now exercised their right to the return of the land. Community consultation has taken place in previous years about the community's appetite for residential in the old site. The CEO and I have made several trips to Hobart since late last year, advocating for the progression of this project. We are expecting a draft MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, sometime this month, which will outline the roles and responsibilities of the three parties, being Central Coast Council on behalf of you and our community, the Tasmanian Government and Homes Tasmania. The role that CCC will play there will be to ensure a commitment to community consultation in relation to any projects. We will ensure that the community's voice is heard and to pass on all and any information we've already collected regarding residential information. Sorry, residential development. I just wanted to provide that update or in relation to One Pine Road. Moving on, 2.2 is the Mayor's Diary. There's also additions there from the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Lehman. Would Councillor Desmond resolution for that item? Thank you, Councillor McRose. Thank you, Councillor Isbeth. Any questions on the diary?
Sorry, if I may, just a little bit of an insight into the Darwin Waste Management tool that yourself and the CEO Barry attended. The week before, it's for people in the public gallery. The DOT system is the Darwin Organic Transformation Project, which is a $30 million project. So where all our organics, all our food waste goes to, pallets and so forth, and things that we're now using the photo, everything else. So Darwin's owned by 4 councils: the Central Coast, Devonport, Kentish, and the Latrobe. I'm trying to think that will be both the own. So it's owned by 4 councils. So this is an incredible project for future proofing our waste stream going forward into the future over decades to come. And for 4 councils to own a commercial establishment like Darwin Waste Management is incredible. The $30 million project on top of that's going to be unbelievable. So the transformation big shed is what we see at concrete on about 3,000 metres of concrete. It's massive. It's gone into them. The opening date is going to be somewhere in July. This project will come in, hopefully when the ribbon's cut, basically on time and on budget. I've got to take our hat off to the CEO, managers of Darwin at the moment to be able to do this thing, to bring this project to fruition through that way. I think going forward, we envision that every municipality along the coast and further east will be putting products into Darwin in one form or another. We might even see waste coming from down the Midlands way coming up to Darwin in the future. There's so many plans for Darwin. I think when we look at it now that we can get this one out of the road, is the plastic caps, your bottles, and try and put that in the fuel and complete the circular economy. But if you get a chance and you ever see Darwin mentioned, have a bit of a read of it, because it is a massive job. It's a massive project, but it's going to be unbelievable to report to. I will take the opportunity, Mayor, if I may, just to speak about batteries in starting fires. This year, Darwin, I think, have had 6 fires in its name for the last 6 months. And presumably, most of them have been started by batteries. And I learned a fair bit about that over the week. The 2 batteries, and now all they are, they're in a compactor truck or in the landfill and run over the dozer and get touched one another, squash, they'll start a fire. So it's imperative of us that we are going to have to bring something in place across all our municipalities, how we handle that batteries out of our every dark nights, and every household's got the rechargeables, everything from the little hearing aid batteries up to whatever. That's what started most of the fires. If it's something we can control or something that obviously know a series of this. And the other one there was flares. Now with flares on boats, people have got to have them inspected every year, or they've got a use-by date. Instead of handing them back the mast that they can use for training and practice fields, I found flares going into the waste, starting a fire. And something we haven't been aware of, we didn't know about, and we've got to get that message out, but also put to give your flares back to mast, they will reuse them. So it's an interesting day.
It was indeed, and Darwin, as we know, is a reflection of the forethought of those four councils many years ago. And as you say, we'll take the organic selection from right across the region and further east, and not only does that provide Central Coast with best practice as far as managing our own waste, but returns a dividend to the ratepayers at Central Coast to allow us to do other things. And I did know that in the time on the day of the tour that the CEO was open to groups, community groups
Yes.
that would like to do a tour. So if you're part of a community group of any sort, please feel free to reach out to myself or Gary, or go directly to the Dalton and Devonport, because she was happy to take small group tours on the new facility and to do so.
In shed, community shed, schools,
All of those things.
anyone with information. So
Yeah, it's good. Thank you for that update. Any further comments or questions on the diaries? Sorry, did I have a mover and seconder? I did. Thank you. I put the motion, all those in favour, ayes.
Aye.
Against, the motion is carried. 2.3 declarations of interest. I have, does any councillor wish to declare a councillor does any councillor have any specifically agenda?
I do power declaring it with item 1.
Thank you. Moving on, 3.1 councillor reports. Any councillor care to report on the committee with the bank function? Councillor Bissett.
Nonetheless. Family is coming up on 150 years of being declared a town. This also means it's the 50th anniversary of BT. This will be on the 25th of October 2025, which is fast approaching. The President of the Penrith History Group, Kate Bellum, for acknowledging the audience today. Assembled a meeting in February, and I was fortunate enough to be asked to chair. Intent was to get action and to organise an event or series of events to celebrate this occasion. A dedicated number of community members attended the initial meeting, and good discussion was had. It was decided that our approach would be to celebrate the anniversary for the entire year of 2025 by linking already existing events into the celebrations. We expect this to culminate in a large event and celebration on the actual date of 25th of October 2025, which is fortunately that Sunday. If any community organisation are planning events in 2025, please make contact so that we can hopefully align the events. And with your permission, now I'd like to give semi-regular updates to the councillors and the members of the public there. And with the next meeting on the 24th of April at 7 p.m. at the Elbow.
Thank you, councillor Bissett, and if a periodical update would be right, so we can keep track of that at the work and that celebration. Thank you. Any other councillor? Councillor Lennon.
I did see a report from you noting that there was good strength service annual general meeting with the group. They reported that they have come out the other side of their challenging year, which is great news. And so this event has been good trainer in the last year, which is really good news. And Lyndall and Lyndall has been all the commitments have been reached last year. And they also wanted to pass on their thanks to the council.
Thank you. That is great news. Councillor Calvin.
just a quick note here, I think that the case of Kendall meeting there on Cleveland Valley Vineyards 3 weeks ago. And the beautiful against France, of course. Start taking them on. It seems that everything still seems to be quite rosy on the B&B and everything around our members, because we have a lot of members of that B&B accommodation. Seems to be naturally flowing through, passing to the place they want to come to. So, when we look at Central Coast, reports from the guys at Central Coast that they face their own business, the person who's been involved with tourism. Biggest discussion was on the government ceasing the funding to the West, like West. The West and see whether that goes forward. And it stops, starts, or whether it starts again. But other, all in all, most of them seem pretty happy with the way things are tracking. Or to people right involved with council and tours. So next week's tomorrow, it should be pretty good.
Be there. Thank you, that's right. Any other report? Councillor Dickens.
Sorry, to run twice, to also acknowledge the Finland Circle of the flag chickens that we used in this weekend. And to I see the site. So far, so we've got around it.
Thank you. Any other reports? 4.1 is leave of absence. We have no needs of, no applications for consideration at this meeting. 5.1 is deputations. No requests for deputations to address the meeting or make statements or deliver reports have been made. 6.1 is petitions. No petitions have been received and the local government acting as a will to be. And 7.1 takes us to councillors' questions on notice around Councillor Carter. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Diprose. Councillor Bissett. Councillor Varney. Councillor Beswick. And none for myself. 7.2 is councillors' questions on notice. No questions on notice have been received. 8.1 is a brief around public question time, which we will get to. So at members in the gallery, at a time in between agenda items or as close to 6:40 as possible, the council will allow 30 minutes for public question time. If you are intending to ask for a question, please note the following procedures. Jackie Bronson chairs there. A maximum of 2 questions may be asked, and if council are unable to answer a question at the meeting, then a written response will be provided to you. If you get to that close to 6:40. 8.2 is public questions on notice. So they were public questions that were provided, that were asked and answered at last month's meeting. So do not need any further discussion. But a councillor again has a suggested resolution for that item. Thank you, councillor Vine. Seconded, councillor Smith. On the motion, all those in favour, aye. Aye. Against, motion is carried. Which takes us to 9.1. Chief Executive Officer's report. Full report there, slightly different format as we discussed, and a compilation of other items listed here separately, so it's more efficient use of the report. Would councillor care to move a suggested resolution for that item? Councillor Carpenter, seconded councillor Beswick. Any discussion on the Chief Executive Officer's report, please?
Yeah, just quite, I think it's improvements, quite well laid out, the information's there to bring us back to what we spoke about earlier. Pre-workshop, so more than happy with the right thing to do.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All those in favour, aye. Aye. Against? The motion is carried. 9.2 is development application determinations. You've been provided with a copy of the schedule. Suggested resolution for consideration. Would the councillor care to move the suggested resolution? Thank you, councillor Beswick. Seconded, councillor Viney. Any discussion? Sorry. No. No. Thanks, John. Put the motion, all those in favour, aye. Aye. Against, the motion is carried. 9.3 statutory determinations. It is the schedule that you've been provided. The councillor again, that's suggested. Thank you, councillor Bissett. Seconded, councillor Layman. Any discussion? Councillor Bissett.
Yes. Was the first issue in my appointments was statement in that 32 months right last month. Issue portions. That's said that we take that on board. That month. That's very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, further to Elizabeth's point there, I did notice that well, there's been a lot of talk about there. It's quite really that may be able to answer whether it's the same people being cautioned they haven't moved on or whether it's otherwise.
Previous CEO, Director Stowe, if you want to speak to that.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I will need to take that population for some people that are maybe through our camping areas at the moment. But
Thank you.
Yeah, that's I'll put the motion, all those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against.
The motion is carried.
9.4 is Community Safety Partnership Committee terms of reference. And we have the new terms of reference with you, which make the change to how regularly we meet. The immediate business of that committee and calls for an additional community member to join that committee. It's just some expressions of interest for that. So you've been revised, provided with a revised terms of reference for the council care to move that this resolution. Councillor Viney, seconded Councillor Petrie. Any discussion? Mr. Viney.
Yes, it's Community Safety Partnership Committee is a very important committee within the municipality, which provides a forum for the broad cross-section of the community to come together and discuss safety matters. Obviously, the mayor has indicated that it's actually going to meet more regularly and they have increased the size of that committee. So it's a revised term of reference which will enable this, like I said, very important committee to continue in the future.
Well, I was actually listed, reminded not quite to get up on that part. The other part about that for me is that at the end of each council cycle, there'll be new appointments made. I think you can probably career time to do with various areas of the council is that in the new term of 8 new council, that the new appointments made, whether it's CEO or any other, but that's going forward. What's the working towards that?
Agreed. Any other comments? No, put the motion, all those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 9.5 is the Turner Speech Community Representatives Committee dissolution, which sort of seems in contrast to the previous conversation, doesn't it? We're expanding one committee, we're dissolving another couple of others. I think these ones make sense. By Councillor Chair, the resolution for conversation. Thank you, Councillor Expert. Seconded, Councillor Fitzgerald. Councillor Expert. For that.
And just very obviously, it's in the 500 years, to live and live. It's only but it was done through negotiations and acceptance of the members who certainly I mean they've been based on everything they want to continue it. I think that's observable. There is the more extensive public consultation that council was trying to take in that area. I think they recognise that there is further development resolution in the one things. So again, there's been a lot of things taken us to the bone on this having 10 minutes in our agenda. There's a lot of just see what issue to affect. But again, we'll get back to them.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Fitzgerald.
on that, I would just like to acknowledge and thank everyone who's been on that committee over the past 30 years and for their, their time and their volunteering for in those meetings. Trying to get out of work and all those things to attend. So yeah, just a big thank you to all those people that participated in the committee over the last week.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Debating none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. 9.6 is the core community representative committee, devolution and similar lines as Beach and Beach committee and process. And we're councillor Kevin, who suggests resolution for that. Councillor Bestwood, secretary, councillor Barney, councillor Bestwood, do you have comments to make?
Just quickly, yes, Mayor, similar to the beach, these committees were formed years ago. And so we process, I think, report community, the mission planning those things. As Billy mentioned, the community conversation was currently said we're working really well with the community and have the ability to be able to bring up. The other thing which has been raised over the couple of years is sometimes it's a project that might need a committee, and then the committee can be formed to work with the community for that specific project, but it doesn't mean that the committee has to be running management items. So there's always an opportunity to be able to form a committee in a specific person, whether it's first, week, fourth, or fifth. So, yeah, maybe we can do that.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? First, we'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. And it should be noted that following your resolution tonight, we will arrange for a thank you celebration, morning tea, something that involves food, to acknowledge the work of those people that have served in those roles. We will certainly pass on your thanks to them in the made one. Any councillor questions for the Department of Community Growth and Development? No, and there were no questions for infrastructure service. Thank you. Moving on to 9.7, the electoral signage policy. Thank you, councillor Fitzgerald. Policy has been provided to you, and questions that you have been worked through with the director. Or councillor Kennedy should do a resolution for that. Thank you, councillor Barney, secretary, councillor Baker, councillor Barney.
This local signage policy has not been changed since 1995, and it's because of changes in society, we need to address that situation. And being almost 30 years down the track, there are a lot of things that have changed. It's a pity that we have to have all of these policies. And the way I look at it is that you need a policy where common sense doesn't come into play. And unfortunately, these days, common sense isn't common anymore. So anyway, here we are with the electoral signage policy, which will obviously come more into play after this weekend.
Any else? Councillor Biswick.
Yeah, but to councillor Barney's comment, as you mentioned, after this weekend, very maturing election going forward. At least we've got something to do too. Some of the time has been around this election. I think the gear any rules. I like industry policy where actually the candidate can get basically warned, and if they don't remove or whatever their time, they'll get taken by council and charges accordingly to that candidate. Because as much as we all appreciate that we live in a great democracy, in the end, no candidate is above the law as far as liberation of someone in front of the law. So I'm happy to support this. That's something to move forward.
Thank you, councillor Biswick.
Yeah, just an anonymous policy that it is a combination of several other state acts. There's no something in the policy except that's expected of those two paragraphs and documents over there. This is just a consolidated document that technically is saying here's what's happening in St. Coast, instead of those through so Obviously, we're a company, so, yeah, they already have to do this. This is just making it very clear.
Kelsey, yeah, comment. Mr. Cole, no, nothing further, put the motion, all those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against. Motion carried. Awesome. Councillor Cross, you come back in? That takes us to 9.8, which is the public land Bible process. And we have workshopped the pieces in question, and we recognise this is just the first step by which we endorse it to go out to the public consultation process to the community. We councillor Head move the suggested resolution. Please. Thank you, councillor. Thank you, councillor Calvin.
I think it's pretty well laid out there. Anyone that's been interested in the process, please go on to the public and let them get it up. Interest of all the information there and the reasons why. Council committee lumbered with a lot of public land that can sit on your hands for a long period of time and we forget about it. Some of these parts of the land, I have no knowledge of where it. And to me, parts of the land will sit there for decades on end. Bring no value to rate parcel for your municipality whatsoever needs to be looked at. They must affirm with rate parcel also members of the community. It is only a process. But they believe in the value of these parcels land to be used for civic use or anything else down the track. That opportunity is going to be granted to them and given to them. So it's out there now. It'll be interesting to see what comes back. Interesting to see what this parcel of land can be used for, so it might be used for in the future, which is what we need to use instead of the black and white here. So have no problem putting the resolution supporting it.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Hickett.
Thank you, and the salvation is about the other aspect of this, the fact that we maintains part of the land, so again, my service is just the starting process to see what the public feedback is. With that, but I think there's reasons to be for this and also more support. This is part of the money. That's the reason I think, but there are.
Any other speakers? So as you've outlined there, there is a 21-day public submission period. So if you can fix eyes on the media or on social media or our website, we do bring council in the chance to find out what the process is in relation to that. So being no other speakers, good in 55 minutes. I put the motion, let's go on. Aye. Against. Motion carried. 9.9 is the financial reports. Financial reports for the period ending the 29th of February. For the council care to move and suggest a resolution for that period. Thank you, councillor Hine. Councillor Cup. The councillor Hine, any comment?
I don't know particularly why I get to talk about numbers all the time, but it just tends to feel to be a element of the trade. But there has over time been many changes in the format, and at the moment this one appears to be much easier to read and more concise and clear than we have had some in the past. It's actually good to be able to read it. The major differences I see it between budget and actuals were that there's some timing differences in grant receipts. But we've been assured that the grants are going to come in, they're just coming in at a later date than what the budget has projected. like to thank, the staff, the CEO and finance officers for putting these, numbers together. And I think, they're a credit to our organisations.
Thank you. And that's Councillor Rose.
I would just like to acknowledge in the report that, February 12 months prior, at the staff turnover at 12.3%. 12 months ago, sitting at 22.9%. So, and I think it's to show that we're back to the off and, acknowledge and thank everyone for working.
Yes, but it's not that nothing.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, if you could, both the speaker before, and I'll leave it up to Councillor Blind to do with the finer detail. I'll be a lot of numbers, but I think that the most pleasing thing about this report is from the people that don't sit around this table, but from the people that are part of our community. They can look through and see the green and the amber. And to see the notes explained like that to everybody who wants to pick it up and see it, okay, we're on track in that department. Or our materials are starting to grow the cost. You don't have to wait to the end of the year to know what's happening. So members of the public can pick this report up and read it and know monthly where we're tracking within a certain parameter. And that's some idea. If we stop some projects, we can look back. So the fee, materials and costs are growing at 30%, which is a no fault of council or anybody. To me, I think it's a really good report for the people of our community to understand how we operate. Don't have to dive into every single dollar and cent, single that's there, but it's clear, it's precise, it's good notes, and it's logical notes that we all understand. So thank you, Mayor and the finance team. It is much appreciated. And everybody else sitting outside the table. So,
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Beswick.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'd like to thank Councillor Ryan for picking up that as the count actually. And just to confirm also what Councillor Carter said, we're thankful for that because it's much easier for person like myself, it's me. I did the report a few days ago and that introduced the accounting of the dark art, so I'm sure whether finding likes that dark art, but I appreciate his experience in that area.
Thank you. Any other questions? I suppose from myself, I just am very pleased to see it in the body of the agenda. To your point, Councillor Carpenter, I'm not sure how many members of the public would have bothered through to find the appendix or printing out the attachment or going down that rabbit hole of trying to find where the money was. We've never hit any of it, but it was harder to see. This is in the body of the agenda, so it's easier to click on the website, pick up a hard copy from there, depending on our alternatives. The simple graphical way. There's much easier to see. So again, my thanks is to the three. Who moved that? Oh, Councillor Ronnie, thank you. Did you wish to move this? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Again. Carried. And the next agenda item is the meeting on closed to the public. But before we do that, we have public question time, which is fabulous. Yes, I was going to do it again. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So we have some questions that people have very kindly provided to us in writing beforehand, so we could provide you a considered response. Some for myself to read out, one or two for the CEO to read out. So we should do those ones first, and then if there's any questions from the floor where people would just want you to give those to us verbally, then that is fine as well. Is that okay with you? The first one that I just wanted to try and navigate was a question that we were given in February from Mr. Eric Van Butte, and I acknowledge the attendance tonight. And initially it was a question in relation to removing some of the old buildings that are currently sited at Matthews Road in Ulverston from a development application. without trying to make it sound too confusing. The buildings, the question was really about the value that the community places on those buildings, and were there any other opportunities to consider their placement instead of at Maskell's Road. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar there. We've got the precinct where the Ulster Miniature Railway is, and where the heritage machinery is relocating first. So the essence of Mr. Gang's question was about those buildings being valued and whether or not that they should be placed somewhere else. He provided some examples of the North Moreton Railway Station being relocated to North Moreton, and some other suggestions which we appreciated. So the response to those general concerns is that council decided to display the historical buildings at Maskell's Road after considering a number of alternatives and seeking input from the community regarding their placement and future preservation. Their placement at Maskell's Road has been welcomed by users of the site, namely the Historical Machinery Club of Oldston and the North West Model Engineering Society, which will be located at this site in due course. This historical precinct, including the Ulster Miniature Railway and the Veteran Fair Car Club of Australia, will then be complete. This previously underutilised site, alongside the coastal pathway, will feature appropriate lighting, interpretive signage and regular maintenance to create a significant point of interest, a place to stop, sit and learn about our history that is accessible by foot, bike or car. It is regretful that the completion of this work has taken much longer than council envisaged, and in the meantime, we acknowledge that there's been some community concern about the care for those buildings during that time, but in the meantime, the buildings have now been tarped to prevent weather damage and fenced to prevent vandalism. It is a project that could have been completed long before now, and should be able to be enjoyed by one and all. For reasons various that hasn't happened, but it is now a priority for us to get that rectified. And rather than perhaps as some may have seen it, they're being discarded, what we actually intend to do is to create a precinct where you can actually stop and read about them and celebrate the history. So I am certainly looking forward to that project. The second question that I have is from earlier this month, on the 3rd of March 2024. Mr. Ashley Balgari submitted the following question to be asked at the March 18th meeting of the Ordinary Council meeting. And this question was: Castor Falls Circuit, located on Falls Road, Niagara, is a home to 5 waterfalls, abundant wildlife, big trees over 9 metres in circumference, and precious rainforest. What is council's position on Sustainable Timbers Tasmania intention to develop 5 acres of forest along this popular trails this year? And the response is as follows: council is aware of recent community concern and social media activity regarding the proposed clear felling area known to Sustainable Timbers Tasmania as Group CA 151A, as well as other areas within Central Coast. The council has received detailed information from Mr. Balgari and Mr. Adrian Sedgwick regarding this matter, and in response, the CEO and Mayor have arranged to meet with Sustainable Timbers Tasmania early in April to better understand issues and impacts associated with these proposed logging sites. Council will consider all relevant information prior to determining how we may represent community concerns on this matter. From a planning approval perspective, clearing of vegetation of more than 1 hectare requires a forest practices plan in accordance with the Forest Practices Act 1985. A forest practices plan is a legal requirement under the Act, which overrides the requirement of a council-issued planning permit. A forest practices plan is subject to a public consultation process, which includes a 30-day representation period between the notice of intent to commence planning and the notice of intent to commence harvesting. Our understanding is that public submissions can be made during that period. The public consultation timeframe for this area in question have not yet been decided. Thank you. I have two questions that I had in writing over to you.
Madam, excuse me, my voice. Spent a few hours playing that last night with some close colleagues. For a talk. On 8th March 2024, Mr. McCard and Miss Nellie Atkins have been following related questions. Miss Nelson says this: the residents of 3 Howard Street are concerned about some large trees that overhang our units. Should we have a lot of rain followed by strong winds like we have been having recently? We're anxious that trees could fall against some of our units. We'd ask the council to investigate our concerns. Ms. Nellie has said there are several large trees alongside the creek and near several units. I'm concerned that the trees are too close to the houses and are unsafe and may fall on the residences. If they fall during a storm, they could and would damage their houses. They create a lot of dust and pollen in the yard and on the roofs of units. That could be done to alleviate them, or what could be done to alleviate the concerns. The response from council is thank you for your questions. Council acknowledges the safety concerns raised by residents of Hayward Street with respect to surrounding rivers. In this particular situation, tree ownership is not easily identifiable between private ownership and the Crown along Penguin Creek. This is not council land. Rather, the council owns land on the other side of Penguin Creek. Disputes between private property owners regarding tree maintenance and/or management is a matter for the respective owners. And unfortunately, in this case, council has no regulatory power to intervene. However, council can and will advocate the situation to the Crown on behalf of our community members who haven't raised this matter. We further suggest our committee members appraise themselves with informed the Tasmanian Legal Aid website, which has a fact sheet on neighbouring trees and plants affecting property owners, which is a very good site to inform the owners. We thank you again for taking the time to connect with your council.
Sorry, it won't be a moment. Alison, did you want to ask a second question?
No, I wanted to comment about the one that you just read. Apparently this afternoon, somebody did come out from council and looked at those trees, and apparently the word was they should come down.
Also, as the CEO has indicated, we don't own the trees. Or anyone owns a tree, but they're not on our land, but that information, Mark's team has gathered that today. That will certainly provide some information to make representation to the Crown. So I'm happy to go to the Crown on your behalf with that extra information now and see how we can progress you. So you have other questions. Let's go to the floor then. Should you have a question or note, we will need to share that with us. I would ask you to come and stand at the little silver table there where the microphone is. Should you wish to raise a question, because that allows the microphone to hear you well. And if we can answer your questions tonight, we will. If not, we will provide you with a response in due course. If we have, so we've got a written one there from yourself, Mr. Barker. Did you want the CEO to read that out, or did you wish to stand and share that with us?
I can't stand it, I'll get up there and.
Well, you use your big outside voice, Darryl, and we'll be right, I reckon.
No, let him read it out, I'll comment.
Okay, all right. So the CEO will read out the question and you can provide any further information. Thank you, Morris. Much appreciated.
The question is, can the council give a report on the coaching pathway and any future proceedings? Will the council be able to the education department regarding future use of the old primary school, and what is the future of this school?
Two separate questions.
So in relation to the shared pathway, so the part that council is now responsible for, the part is occupying our mind at the moment is the space between West Darlington and Penrith. So we have an annual action item for this financial year, which is to do the investigative concept work. So it's still at very early stages through the CEO Director Mark, Acting Director Mark. you have something to share about that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's worth noting that the council actually applied for the state funding as well to, obviously that part of the project. Obviously, with the state government coming to care, take the money, there is things money.
So the next step, irrelevant where the money was coming from, the next step would be to appoint a consultant, because that is outside our area of expertise, to start doing some investigative work. And that's going to have a large piece of community consultation associated with it, isn't it? Because I know we've received contact from lots and lots of people that have got a theory or a thought or an approach about that. So that's where we're at, Darryl. This financial year is the concept design for the next bit. Was that what you were asking? Was there something else on your mind about it?
Would you be available to make some to the old bugger like me? With an engineer to discuss the different route
Indeed.
this week?
I'm not sure about this. We might be best placed to wait until our engineer Paul is back on deck, but we've got our boss engineer is on service leave for maybe another 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Can we wait till Paul comes back and then we can?
But actually, one,
We will. I think that would be best. Otherwise, we might be repeating ourselves at future meetings.
you know what to do then, I'd like to helicopter when they change.
Not sure we thought that through. Yes, good. Thank you. We will meet and let's do that. And the second part of the question was about the Penny Primary School.
Yes,
Well, if you can find out what happened with the Penny Primary School, you can write back and let me know.
I'll help with that.
So there's been no advice and we have not been able to get a response from the minister. We are using a section, the kindergarten section. We are using that for our after school care program, which our staff have appreciated. More space, they've got more space now than they've had for years and years. But the answer is we don't know. I'm not sure that they are sure. I think there's been lots of conversation within the education department about using it for different purposes, but we haven't received anything.
Would the council go to the education department? We propose that they come to the sports academy. Or people throughout Tasmania, very good at something or not very good, because around here we've got at least 12 sporting facilities, within walking distance, and showing all where to go to drive a little bit. Not been fully used. Because we talked to the education department about that.
So, an arrangement is that Gary and I took to Hobart to talk about this venue that we're sitting in now. Don't get the new football place mixed up with the old football place. So as some of you would be aware, there's a commitment of some $25 million to do upgrades to this site, which wouldn't commence until the next financial year. That's when the money starts to flow. But our conversation with Infrastructure Tasmania, who are the holders of the wallet, was that we would welcome an opportunity to have a broader plan done. So we talked to them about the fact that from the back way to the base to Mount Noman, there was no overarching plan. There was no plan that said where things should be, when they were going to reach end of life. We have an athletic track that needs a $1 million upgrade to it. So to your point, we also included the Penny Primary School sites in that conversation, didn't we? We are waiting on a minister to be appointed after the election, but there was a sense from those with the money that they support us to do an overall plan. Happy to follow up now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions from the floor? Mr. Dunn. Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, this is really a point of frustration. I've been involved with the Penguin History Group for the past 13 years, and an ongoing concern has been the lack of storage. Not just anywhere in the community, it's more on the actual site of the station. It's been an ongoing concern. It's been raised with excessive council administrations, but all to no avail. So my question really is very specific. How soon can we expect to see a tangible improvement in storage capacity at the station? Thank you.
So yeah, this is probably territory that you, yes, well, it is a question for Darryl. I appreciate your question. It has certainly been an ongoing issue, and I didn't realise that we weren't anywhere near close to resolving it. But, we will come back to you with a response. Thank you. Any other questions from the floor, please?
Hello, Jordan Bandy. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mayor Fuller for the prompt response to my concerns about the obvious lack of care that's been provided for the 3 historical buildings to the old museum site. And in 2019, the council relocated to Mascles Road. Advising that this store and be placed at some stage of community viewing. And I'd like to thank the council for their response to my father's note on that the previous meeting. Now, in 2017, the Central Coast Council reaffirmed its asset management policy. The purpose of this policy, enacted through the Central Coast Council as custodians of our community assets, is to demonstrate the organisation's commitment to the Central Coast Council vision and strategic objectives through an integrated and resource asset management framework, set of process and practices. In 2019, those historic buildings were proud to be in excellent condition at the museum. Some such dated back to the early 1900s. For example, from at least 1924, the lead light stood at the west bank of the Leedon River and later situated iconically at the museum until 2019. A 2019 photo shows that such light was in a pristine condition. Though, for unknown reasons, in 2019 against advice, the Central Coast Council laid the lead light on the side of Mascles Road. For additional unknown reasons, none of the buildings were elevated on timber or concrete supports to stop the moisture from the ground to seep through the walls and floors. In doing so, allowed water ingress. Photos sent to the Central Coast Council in August 2023 and December 2023 clearly show the lead light's back broken, virtually destroying the lead light in less than a 4-year period. Over 90 years of life of such an iconic building ruined due to silly decisions, and now the council is going to have to spend a great deal of money to restore it to its former glory and glory. My rhetorical question is, why bother reaffirming the asset management policy if you're not going to uphold it? My actual question, though, is what were the plans put in place to protect, maintain and monitor these assets, and were funds budgeted for this, except for the security fences erected around them? And if there was a plan, why weren't these assets protected? Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. I have inferred by my response to your father's question, it has taken a disappointingly long time, but to your specific points, why say you're going to do something if you don't do it, etc. CEO, would you like to comment on where we move forward from here? The reality of it is what is done today. And Mr. Birmingham has advised us over a period of time of the damage that it's already doing. So that's very frustrating.
It is not fair. All the downs. In terms of response we did to the problem, not have to be taxing nurse and not back to you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the sharing opinion that you have tried to exercise.
Always.
Are there any other questions from the floor? Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering, what is the progress on the old room? I know some people in there the other day really one point about it. I said, asked them what they were doing. To see whether it was suitable for roads or buildings. So if there's any progress or.
Yes.
Time
frame I don't have. So we've recently completed the administrative process, which was to hand the land back to the state. State owned 98% of it. I think we've got a sliver. If you own a sliver of it that's about big enough for a cricket pitch, which is just near your place, Tony. Yes, so so we have just completed the administrative process, which is to hand back the vast majority of the land. The next step is the CEO is waiting on a draft MOU in March. At the time we have the MOU, which would outline roles and responsibilities going forward, council state government, home of Tasmania, about a discussion about its suitability for residential use.
Little district.
Thank you, and we will take every opportunity to keep people updated as that progresses. Thank you for your question, Charlie. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to talk about, Mr. Glenn Turner. I've done 10 copies that you need around the table, so interested in what's going to get them done.
The microphone purposes, would you give us your name, please?
Gary Carr,
Gary.
and I'd like to talk about Mr. Turner that donated all his ground for Lee Turner, and it's a lot of interest in reading in that. What he done for the Turner Street municipality. Down at the Caravan Park, they will be donated that ground fully over, like an old the Forest Club and all that, and the fire station. And a lot of people are a little bit concerned about the bush on each end of the park. It's simply like a fireball, because if the fire got in there, I'm quite sure there'd be property burnt out, because there's a lot of undergrowth in that bushland.
Sorry, which part are you referring to?
Caravan, Turner's Beach, on each end of the park. And we were wondering whether one day this might happen, if it could, the western end done like Picnic Point, and the other end of the park done as, units, would be rented, you know, like that. And, if that could be done, and then the money from that goes to the Turner Beach municipality, like putting over and files and street at the young generation coming along. That money was left after the expenses to go to them.
Folks, you've done some real strategic thinking about the direction of that. That's good, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Gary. So for the record, Mr. Carr has provided us all with a copy of some notes on how Turner Beach got its name. And as you said there, your suggestion about, how it might be further developed in that area. Did, CEO or directors wish to provide comment, or are we just taking it as? Councillor Hiskett, sorry, question without notice, Councillor Hiskett. When you were on the Turner Beach Consultative Committee and there was lots of conversations about the shared pathway and so forth, was there any community members around that table that followed the concept of turning any of that natural space into residential areas or any of that? I was just mindful that was probably the last committee that we had pretty good cross-community representation.
The conversation was, moving to space, pathways, green, or something, so it wasn't able to.
Thank you. Our next community conversation, well, not our next one, because our very next one, which is this Thursday, which is a Haybridge of this week. So if you happen to live Haybridge, Crone or anywhere out that dirt, and you'd like to have a cup of tea and biscuit on Thursday morning, we'd love to see you at the Haybridge Hall. But the month after that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, the April one is Turner Beach. That would be a great time, Gary, to sort of place this out and get a feel for with the people that are, those people that are in the room on that day as to what their thoughts were. But in the meantime, consider it as tabled for further consideration.
Yeah, I just wonder where it stands at that bush though. Who takes the responsibility for it stuff? Definitely places for that.
Thank you, Director Sanders.
Through in there, I'm happy to take that question on notice, Mr. Carr, and complain to you.
Yeah. Well, it's in a volatile area and definitely places can get burnt, and I've been a bush worker all my life. I can tell you, when the fire started, many big stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for making the drive over. Mr. King, with another question?
I was just wondering regarding that one. In my previous lot, there was a fair bit of discussion about that area of bushland between the houses and the foreshore along Turner Beach, right along there through the caravan park and everywhere. And we're always neglected.
There was supposed to be a fire truck go through the back of those houses, and also one through the middle of the caravan park. I'm not sure whether they've been, shaking his head, so they haven't been done, but they were supposed to have a track that you could get a truck, a fire truck, along the back of those houses where you turn into Turners Avenue and that, and yeah, that was never ever followed up.
Sounds like it needs an investigation which Sam has undertaken to do. Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? Just prior to, that's the end of public question time, and thank you. Just prior to us formally closing the meeting to the public, I just wanted to acknowledge over the weekend the passing of Cameron Jamison. Cameron was a long-serving volunteer for ALSA 5 and from a family who has provided great and dedicated service to this community over many, many years. Our thoughts are of Cameron's family and loved ones, and we just wanted to pay respect to that and acknowledge his passing, and our thoughts are with them all. On that somber note, we'll close the meeting to the public. Oh, sorry,
I did submit a question, but after your initial response, I'll withdraw it and comment.
oh, okay. Are we good? So, okay, fabulous. Sorry for that oversight. All right. If we are finished, then we'll move to 10.1, which is meeting closed to the public. Could Councillor Catt move the suggested resolution for that item? Thank you, Councillor Dickrose, seconded Councillor Lister. No discussion? No? Put the motion, all those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and therefore, accordingly, the meeting is closed to the public at 7:07 p.m. Thank you for coming out and joining us. The crowd was actually home.
Thank you.
Lots.
I'll go and make sure.
Out there to make sure everybody is safe. Thank you.
Okay.